morning and welcome to What's Happening Here with Lois and Diane. I'm Lois Taylor.
And I'm Diane Austin. And today we're at Billy Bishop Museum on 3rd Avenue West here in Owen Sound. I would like to introduce you to Emily Jolliffe, the curator of Billy Bishop Museum.
Hello, Diane. Hello, Lois. Welcome.
Thank you for having us. This is a beautiful, beautiful house, like amazing. Tell us a little bit about your position here, what you do.
I am the director and chief curator here at the museum, and it's our job to make sure that this place is here for future generations. And we also put on lovely little exhibits upstairs primarily, and they have to do with local veterans, local history, and things like that. We try to have something for everyone.
So this is a Billy Bishop home.
Yes.
He was born in this home?
Yes, Billy was born here in this home on February 8th in 1894, just 10 years after the family constructed the home, and it's a Victorian-style home called Queen Anne Revival architecture.
It is quite beautiful. Do we have time for a little tour?
Sure, we can do a little tour if you want to follow me into the front parlor.
Thank you.
It was mostly used for company, except for on very special occasions like Christmas. Then the children would have been in here as well. But primarily, Mrs. Bishop, the lady of the home, would host tea parties and special events in this room. It was like her domain.
Oh, okay. Now, this fireplace is stunning, incredible. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, a fireplace. They are original to the home. There are 3 right now currently still in the home. They're not functional, but they were originally coal fireplaces.
Oh,
so
okay.
in the winter, you had to get the coal in and get it going to keep this big home warm.
Wow.
Is the furniture original to the Bishop family?
Some of the furniture is original. Most of the furniture in this front parlor is original to the home. We're very lucky to have a family member. The home was passed down from generation to generation. So Fred, who is Billy's nephew, inherited the home along with a lot of the furniture. Yeah. Okay, so if we're gonna go into the back parlor, we'll go through our hallway of heroes here. So Owen Sound is very special. Not only do we have 1 Victoria Cross recipient, we have 3. We have Tommy Holmes from the First World War, Billy Bishop, also from the First World War, and David Vivian Curry, who's from the Second World War. So these are our collages depicting their acts of valor that earned them Victoria Crosses.
They have commemorative plaques, don't they?
They do, yes. They have the commemorative plaques at the cenotaph,
yes.
and they're also, all 3 of them are buried at Greenwood Cemetery here in town.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Welcome to the back parlor, and this is our permanent exhibit about Billy and his life, and I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Gloria Haybart. She's our board chair, and she has wonderful stories about Billy.
Hi, Gloria.
Hi, Diane. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Gloria and I are on the board for Billy Bishop. We both have a huge passion about this home and about Billy. In this room, there's an awful lot of posters hanging. Is that about Billy's life?
Yes, this is about Billy's life from when he went off to RMC in 1911 and right through till his death in 1956. There's a little bit about his childhood as well, but the main focus is on his military career because that's what he's most famous for. We all know, a lot of people know about the Victoria Cross and his activities in the First World War. That's a model of the Newport 17. That was a plane he was famous for flying.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of interesting to think about. These men were up there. This is all, they had no protection. That's the way they were flying.
So he actually was the gunner as well as the
yes,
pilot?
He was a pilot. It was just a single-person plane.
Wow.
He was a lone wolf flyer. He did a lot of his missions by himself. And he'd go up in the morning and say, see what we could do today. His Victoria Cross raid in 1917, he went up in the morning and he heard there was a German aerodrome nearby, and he thought, I'm going to see if I can hunt it down. And he did, and he hunted it down. He shot down a whack of planes in the air. He shot up this aerodrome on the ground and a couple of planes on the air, and he made it back safely. I understand the plane was full of holes when he did finally land back, and that's for which he received the Victoria Cross.
Gloria, can you walk us through some of these posters of his life?
Yes, I can, a little bit. This is one as Emily told you before, he was born in this house in 1894. He had an older brother, he had another older brother who died before Billy was born, and he had a sister who was, I think, a year younger than he was. He went to the OS Collegiate, and Billy wasn't a very good student. In fact, he preferred to not go to school. And the high school principal at one time told his parents that your son is only good for fighting. Because he did fight, because he liked dancing, he liked girls, he dressed very, very smartly. And when the other boys said, no, that's not good, he didn't like team sports. So he had to fight for his honor all the time. And he was fighting all the time. Went to RMC, Royal Military College, and again, he wasn't a very good student. He preferred to skip out in the evenings and go to the town, to Kingston, play pool. And he almost failed the 1 year, and in fact, he got caught cheating.
He's so debonair looking.
That's correct. That's when that was his observer pin. Because the war broke out, he was lucky the war broke out, because he would have been kicked out of the college.
Oh.
But he had some military training, he has a good marksman, a good horseman, and so they signed him up. So he became joined the Royal Flying Corps.
He didn't look like a large man. Like, is that his uniform
That
over
is
there?
his Second World War uniform. He was 5'7", I believe, a very small man, which helped when you're in those little planes.
Right, yes, I'm sure there's not a lot of room.
First World War, he had so many medals. He had 72 confirmed kills.
Wow.
That's confirmed. They suspect there were more, but you only could report the ones that were confirmed. Between the wars, he was one of the ones that warned against what the Germany was doing. And he was an advocate for developing a Royal Canadian Air Force. And he was also deeply involved in recruiting and something called the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan, which trained pilots from all over the world to fight, not just pilots, but observers, bomb aimers, everything, navigators, everything. And that was an incredible contribution that Canada made to the Second World War, and he was part of that. Wow. Part of that. Billy, he was a fighter, and he was a lone wolf all through his life as well. And I think some of the stresses of the war, he died fairly young. In 1956, he died fairly young.
How old was he?
He'd be about 62, I think it was.
Okay.
In Florida, he went to Florida. He died in Florida. Apparently, he went to bed, and his faithful male servant said, well, more than that, he was a friend. And Billy went to bed, and his friend went to check on him at about midnight and discovered he had died in his sleep. Huge funeral in Toronto at Timothy Eaton church down there, because Billy was married to the granddaughter of Timothy Eaton.
Well, we have to be incredibly thankful for him for what he did for
Yes, and not
Canada.
just the First World War, his heroics. People forget, I mentioned this earlier, people forget what happened in the Second World War, involved in recruiting. He and a buddy went to New York City and recruited Americans. This was before the United States entered the Second World War. He recruited people down there to come up to Canada to train to be in the Air Force, the Royal Air Force and the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Wow.
And so that was an important part of what he did.
He was very passionate.
Very much so, very much so.
So Billy was married, and he
Yes.
had children. And I think there are some family photos, are there not, in the
Yes, there
dining
are.
room?
If you come into the dining room, you'll see more about Billy's family.
I'd love
Awesome, thank you.
Come with me.
to. We're now in the dining room, and there's a lot of pictures starting from when he was a child, right through to when his daughter got married. Can you give us a brief little history on what this is?
This is various family photographs, his grandparents. This is Billy, one here when he came back in 1917, kind of like on a recruiting tour through the country. Here's a picture of he with his son, Arthur. Kind of a little story here. Arthur said he and my dad, we had 73 confirmed kills. Billy had 72 in the First World War. Arthur had one in the Second World War. This is his children's wedding photos as well. And here, this one is Billy pinning wings on his daughter in the Second World War, because she was in the Women's Air Force in the Second World War.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
All through the house, you might see photographs of the family and from various areas. There's a cute one in the other room of he and his sister in a sled.
The Bishops were a wealthy, upper-class family here in Owen Sound.
Yes, his father was a lawyer and the county registrar
Okay.
as well. So, And Billy's wife was the granddaughter of Timothy Eaton, as I mentioned before.
So as a nonprofit organization, I'm sure you're constantly trying to think up ways to raise money.
Yeah.
Do you have some events coming up that you'd like to share?
We do. We have some really fun events coming up. Christmas is a wonderful time of year to be in the home. It really is a beautiful home and it loves to be decorated. So we have Victorian Christmas teas right around the dining room table, the family dining room table. And you can find tickets for those on our website, which is www.billybishopmuseum.org. And there's an events page, and it has our Victorian Christmas teas, as well as right now we have a 50-50 Christmas raffle that you can purchase tickets for. And we also have a veterans program called the Tree of Remembrance, where you purchase a bulb on our Christmas tree in honor of a veteran. It doesn't have to be local, doesn't even have to be anyone that you know. You can just find a veteran or learn a story and purchase a bulb in their honor.
And how much are the bulbs?
The bulbs are $25.
Okay.
And you can also make an additional donation on top of the $25 if you so wish. We also this year, really exciting, we have a Christmas open house, which is going to be free to the public. It's a free event, but you can come and see carolers and Father Christmas, and we're going to have a string band called Rose and Dust set up in the front parlor. So that'll be a really fun event when you can also make a donation if you choose for that event.
And will there be a raffle or anything?
Yeah, there's going to be a raffle with a prize basket with gifts from local businesses to promote them as well, and that's going to be the weekend of November 27th and 28th. Yeah.
I'll donate something to
Oh,
it.
thank you, Lois. You're always so good to us.
I've been to the Victorian Christmas tea, and it is so much fun because not only do you get tea served in a fancy little cup and saucer, but you get homemade Christmas pudding.
Yes.
Which is made by you ladies.
Yes,
and
it is.
Diane sprung, and you just made them not too long ago. So, and they're amazing. They're just wonderful. What I also like is the fact that there are Victorian maids. In the past, Gloria came dressed as a Victorian maid, and it was fun just to hear your stories. It was a lot of fun, and it was very intimate. There was probably about 8 of us around the table,
Yes.
but you have more than one tea. It's not just, there's what, 3 or 4 of them?
There's 4 dates this year.
Yeah, and
2 sittings a day. And it is, what I love about it is you're actually in the Bishop family dining room at the Bishop family dining table. And just imagine what it might have been like where the whole family would have been here.
Thank you so much for hosting us today. I've really, really enjoyed the tour. We didn't make it upstairs though, so I'll have to come back.
Yes, for sure.
Definitely. We have some wonderful things up there.
Yes.
So thank you again. We'll see you at all the events, hopefully.
Yes, all of them. Thank
For
you
sure.
guys. We loved having you.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Leonard Thomson, 13 years old, diabetes mellitus, 65 pounds.
Starve the child to let them live? The treatment's as cruel as the disease. It's a death sentence.
Dr. Banting,
This could be it.
he's the first to receive this trial.
But will it save him?
It's not pure enough.
So we try again. And again. And again.
Before the discovery of insulin, diabetes was a death sentence. Banting, Best, Collip, and MacLeod's breakthrough has saved millions of lives. Leonard Thomson's was the first.
Please join us for our 4th season together as a team for Grey County Life. We might be at home or not.
With Rhonda and Mary Jane Murray.
Welcome back to It's Happening Here with Lois and Diane.
We're here at Thomson Art Gallery on First Avenue West in Owen Sound, and our guest for this show is Aidan Ware.
Hi there, I'm so delighted to have you here today.
Well, thank you for having us. Can you tell us a bit about what your exhibits are now?
Absolutely. We've got 2 new exhibitions on right now. One is called Facing It, and it's a pandemic-related exhibition that combines works from the collection and then also work of contemporary artists. The other exhibition we have is by local artist, Owen Sound artist, Christine Morin, and it's called Swimming at the Edge of Utopia. So those are 2 exhibitions I'd love to show you, but first I thought we might go to the Thomson room where I could show you some of the permanent display of works we have there.
That sounds wonderful.
Excellent. Shall we go?
Absolutely.
All right.
That is a really nice replica of that bust of Tom Thomson.
I
think it's really good. Now, Tom was really quite young when he passed.
He was, yeah. He died in 1917, and he was born in 1877. His family actually moved to Leith, so there's a strong local connection with Tom here in Owen Sound. And the bust really does provide you with an image of what he would have looked like, and it's a life-size replica.
It's such a tragic story, really, when you think of how talented he was, like just looking around this room.
Yeah.
Are they, the prints you have in here, are they prints or are they originals? Or?
No, everything is original in this room, aside from like the family photographs that you would see there. And it's actually put together in a chronological way. So it examines some of his early life in these pieces here, some of his early sketches. And then as you move around the room, it actually starts to showcase some of his early paintings. You'll see here Farmer Leading 2 Horses from 1907.
Which is unusual for him, right?
Yes, exactly. So you can kind of see how he started to experiment with light, especially in that piece there.
Yeah.
And as he continues to explore some of the landscapes, you see him start to become a little bit looser with his paint. And as we move around the room, he almost becomes a little bit more impressionistic. And there starts to be this wonderful emotive quality to his work. And I just think that is a really remarkable trait that he developed, and which the group of 7 then went on to sort of work with as well. So he was actually just prior to some of the work that they did, and was a great inspiration for the work that they did out on the Canadian landscape.
But he wasn't part of the group of 7.
No, he wasn't. And so the works that you see on this wall here in 1915 are among some of the greatest sketches that he has completed. And some of these sketches were then translated into larger works as well.
I was going to say, they seem so much smaller. When I see them like elsewhere, they're always bigger, but they're prints and they're expanded, enlarged, obviously.
Well, some of them are actually originals as well. He did do large paintings, but the beautiful thing about these little sketches is that they were done en plein air. He was out there in the landscape looking at these sites, and they're the most raw and immediate impression that you can get. Where sometimes when you get a larger piece, what he's done is he's taken home a sketch and he's then put it into a finished larger product. But he's had time to think about it and time to construct it. So what you have here is really the first impression, and I think it's just so beautiful and emotional for that reason. Well, I would love for you guys to come back and visit. This exhibition is here all of the time, and so people can come and visit at any time when we're open. We keep these works permanently on display because we know that people have such a reverence for Tom Thomson's work, and we do as well. And of course the gallery, it is the gallery's namesake as well. So I'd love to take you into our contemporary exhibitions and show you the shows that we have there.
I'd love to see them.
There?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So here we are in Facing It, our newest exhibition, and it really looks at various aspects of the pandemic. We had been open and closed so many times during this pandemic over the last couple of years, and we were thinking about how we could respond to some of the issues that have arisen out of the pandemic, both by drawing on our permanent art collection and also in engaging contemporary artists. And so some of the works that you'll see in here directly look at the different ways that the pandemic has shaped and changed our lives.
I see it says everything comes in waves, so I assume that we're going to have some action in here, right?
Absolutely, there is definitely action in here. If we come around the corner here, there is, in fact, a painting that depicts a large wave, and it's by an artist, Richard Storms.
Oh, wow.
And because we've described the pandemic, yet that it comes in waves, and it literally did. Like I said, we were open and closed so many different times during the pandemic. This piece really spoke to that change, trying to overcome those waves. And it was a really beautiful connection to the next exhibition I'm going to be talking about with Christine Morin's work as well. So very powerful piece. And so we drew on works from the collection, as I mentioned. Behind you there is an Ed Bertinsky, and beside an April Hickok work. So thinking about our spaces and how we're cloistered in these cities, how people had to stay in their condos, how all of a sudden leisure became such an important part of our, sort of ethos and thinking. People wanting to escape the city, to come to the beaches. We saw a lot of that up here, especially as people wanted that kind of freedom to feel like they had space, that life was normal, that they could go to the beach with their family. So the pandemic really highlighted some of these spaces that are so important to us.
I find this interesting, this series over here by Willie Waterton. Crazy.
Absolutely. And
right?
I think of all the signs that we've seen throughout this pandemic.
Yes.
It's absolutely incredible.
I mean, we've all seen these signs,
we
right?
Have.
I
Yes.
remember walking on a trail thinking, am I going to get in trouble for, and there's nobody around, right?
Absolutely.
Thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but
that's right.
Got to catch me first.
And again, there's this desire to escape.
Yes.
Escape from our enclosures and get out into nature. And yet, so often we were prevented even from doing that. Things were closed up. Even the trails were closed. So
yes.
It became such a difficult thing for everyone to feel you were so trapped.
What I really like about these, I know Lois mentioned it was Willie Waterton, but he's also a local photographer.
Absolutely.
And really well known.
And we do actually have more of his work just in this other gallery. So I'll lead you around here. I want to show you a few more works. Here are another set of these signs that have been so prevalent everywhere in our lives over the past 2 years. And these ones are particularly local.
Are they?
Especially with cottagers, pick a home and stay.
Stay
right?
away.
That one almost looks like it's at Sauble Falls.
Right.
Because of the blue building I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so also these paintings just behind us here, especially the Ray Johnson one, it's called Red Interior. It really highlights that kind of cloistered space that we've all been in. People working from their kitchen table, from their bedrooms. Everybody sort of being in that lockdown space and having to think about what do our interiors look like? And, does the space really work for us? And can we work in that space? Or, because so often home is a place that you take refuge in, but for so many of us it actually became our place of work as well.
I really like that painting. It's very vibrant and very bold in their colors, but it's just so all-consuming that it's almost smothering.
Yeah, you could definitely get the message that they were in there a long time.
Yeah,
I think for sure.
It's a very intense piece, and I think it really summarizes some of the feelings that came out of the pandemic. There's a lot of angst in it, the red that really and it makes you feel a bit claustrophobic, right? Absolutely. Yes. So everybody's really eager to come out of the pandemic, to get out of their houses. And so on that note, I'd actually really love to lead you into the next exhibition, which is by Christine Morin. And there are some interesting relationships to this exhibition as well. So why don't we head over there?
Sounds great.
Yeah,
and Christine's local, is she not?
She is. Owen sound artist.
Oh, very good.
Will you guys come swimming at the edge of utopia with me into this exhibition?
It depends.
Yes. Well, let us start over here.
Wow.
I'll bring my inner tube. Just sort of float
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Christine Morin, her practice and this body of work in particular was inspired by thinking about the challenges of moving through water and this idea that you can overcome waves and challenges through swimming. And so what you see here is a really interesting series of abstract works. As you look at it, you can make out their goggles and their swim caps, and you see there's kind of a grouping of individuals who appear to be in the water, moving through the water. And in a sense, for me, this is where this exhibition really starts, is with this work right here, with everybody kind of in the water, moving together. This kind of idea that we're all in this together, another kind of pandemic-related theme that has really come to the forefront.
Yeah, it's spectacular, it really is.
Yeah, it really does set the tone, I guess, for understanding the exhibition. As we move on to this work here, you start to see another version of abstraction. You see these forms come up. They're actually represent waves, like large waves, and you see a bit of the swim cap and the swimmer with the goggles right there. You see just the edge of the swim cap right here. So these waves are like threatening to overcome the swimmer. But there's this idea of persistence and overcoming challenge. They can see, they're trying to look forward to the future. They're trying to seek out that utopian landscape where they want to arrive at. And so they're seeking to overcome these waves. And as we move around, this piece in particular is just such an eloquent.
Is it a boat?
It's a boat.
Okay.
Yes, it is. And you see the two abstract swimmers right at the bottom, and it's this whole concept of this big thing that's coming up behind you. And you want to look back, but you don't, because you want to keep focused on where you're going.
Right.
And to me, again, it's sort of like, it feels like the pandemic, this thing that was lurking behind us.
Yeah,
this
it's just
big
looming
thing. And is it going to consume us? Is it going to pull us under?
Yeah.
Or are we going to stay out in front of it, ahead of it? So it's quite a beautiful metaphorical piece, I would say.
Yes.
And here we have, again, two swimmers and another version of an abstraction where their arms are almost linked. Like if you look at the kind of the red and the dark blue there, their arms are almost linked together. So this idea of working together to overcome challenge exists within that piece. And then we come around, and on this back wall here is where the series of utopian landscapes are curated around the swimmers. And so these little landscapes that you see are very abstract, but they're also sort of impressionistic. They don't fully form in a way because they're kind of like a dream. They're like a place that we want to achieve. And so when you look at the swimmers in this piece here, you actually see a reflection in their goggles. Do you see that?
Yes, yes.
And that is actually that piece right there. So they can see their destination and they're almost there. So it's, for me, this exhibition is about a message of hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Overcoming challenge, overcoming those waves, staying out in front of that thing that's behind you, and keeping your eyes on your destination. So I think this was a really well-timed exhibition for the Tom, and how great is it that it's a local artist as well. She's just done a tremendous job putting this exhibition together for us.
It's amazing. It really is.
With the utopia part of it, that's the dream, she's gone from very vibrant colors to the soft pastels, because that's where the calming is the effect, right?
That's a great observation. It is, absolutely.
Yeah, they're so pretty, aren't they,
Oh,
Diane?
very pretty,
Yeah.
and I love how they're depicted in the goggles. I love that. Very nice.
Oh my gosh, the paintings in here are just amazing. And thank you so much for having us, Aidan. I've really, truly enjoyed myself today.
Wonderful to have you here. I'm so glad I could tour you through the Tom today.
I loved it, as well as the stories that the pictures are depicting. If anyone wanted to contact you, how would they do that?
They could do that on our website or through our social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so any of those ways would be absolutely fine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be back.
Wonderful.
Me too.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
This week, I'll be taking down 4 of Bayview's biggest offenders. Let's just say, I've got enough dirt to bury them. Nobody at the school would get called out for anything if it weren't for me.
Simon?
Jesus, he's allergic.
I don't think he's breathing.
You want to help? They think one of us did it.
Wasn't it an accident?
Detective Wheeler has a couple questions.
Everybody here hated him.
One of Us is Lying, all new, Wednesdays, only on W.
Could you use some extra cash? Tune in to McLaren Arts Center TV Bingo on Rogers TV for your chance to win. We have $2,500